Alright, testing, I guess. How do I sound? Hold on. Alright, testing. Testing. Well, I can't. I don't think I can hear myself. Hold on. Well, it says it's capturing audio. Okay, yeah, I'm just going to get right into it. Okay, wonderful. Let's... There we go. There we go. Now I can see everything. Okay. So what I'm going to do, first order of business probably, is actually pull up the elixir docs. Okay. I hope I won't need these, but yeah, we'll see. And we'll just go ahead and see documents. And do I have an elixir? Nope. Okay. And the book is called, we'll just call this, I think it's Metaprogramming Elixir. Okay, perfect. And then let's actually get the book pulled up. Which one? Okay, 20. Oh, why is it zoomed like that? I think we'll just actually have to deal with the MU PDF GL if it opens. Okay, we'll just open it in Firefox then. Sec. Okay, I'm an idiot. I did not know how to read. And then we have metaprogramming. Okay, it's much more readable. I prefer Zephyra, but I don't feel like actually going through that right now. So we will sort of go ahead and, get right into it. So yeah, let's see. Right. It's time to begin our journey to metaprogramming mastery. Ahead lies new elixir insights and new programming abilities. Perhaps you want to write more productive libraries, build domain-specific languages, or optimize runtime performance. I don't want to do any of that. I want to fail. Or succeed. I don't really know. I don't know anything about Elixir, so I found this book like on a random bookshelf, so it should be fun. By now you're familiar with Elixir. You've experimented. No, I haven't. Experimented with the language and perhaps contributed to a library. No, I haven't. We're going to take it to the next level by writing code that writes code with macro. Oh, okay, so like Lisp. I do know macros. Elixir macros are a game changer. They enable metaprogramming and make it a breeze to write powerful programs. Code that writes code might sound like a neat trick, but you'll soon see how it forms the basis for Elixir's own construction. Macros open up unique possibilities that simply aren't possible in most languages. We can extend the language with powerful first-class features, save time and share functionality in fun, productive ways. Used properly, metaprogramming lets us create clear, concise programs that treat source code as building blocks instead of as route lines of instruction. Blah, blah, blah. That was kind of a cute, little introduction. Pretty well written, if I'm being honest. I've read some poor programming books in the past. I like it when they don't try to be funny. I don't know. And so I like that one because it reminds me of SIP almost. Right. The world is your playground. Metaprogramming in Elixir is all about extensibility. Have you ever wished your favorite language would adopt that one neat feature? I guess technically, actually. Something I always think about is like a statically typed Lisp, which I guess we might get with like Scheme 48, I believe it's called. But I don't know, with Lisp it's kind of like all the features, you can kind of write them yourselves. I don't know. Yeah. There's Closure as well, which I think at this point I actually have a bit more experience with. Oh, hi. Seen Colton? No, I'm not aware of that name. Also, nice to see you in here. Am I still showing the... Okay, Colton. Look at this. Wait, is this a statically typed Lisp, or... Hold on. Colton is an efficient statically typed... Yo, okay, that's... I wonder if there's a Geeks package for it. Let's see. It's called Colton. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna have to try this out. Yeah, thank you for that. Lisp. Okay. Save it to the Lisp folder. How are you doing today, by the way? L:"Q. Here, let me get back to this as well. I just kind of want to just jump right into it. Can you imagine take that familiar while loop that you can find in most languages. It's missing from Elixir, but you can imagine writing one like this. Oh yeah, it's going pretty well. I haven't streamed in like a year, so I'm kind of rusty at it. But I don't know. Seems like it seems like a fun thing to do. Yeah, I figure if I'm gonna like be messing around with like programming, I'm like I should do it like on a stream at least. There's something. Although for personal projects, of course, not as much. But here I'm going to, and we will just. What is the Elixir file extension? I actually don't know that. EIX is, let's see, oh, EXS. Okay. And io.puts hello world from elixir. Okay, that's... Okay, so I guess that's the put string function, io.puts. Let's see. I'm gonna skip over some of this. Right here, because this seems to sort of just be going over like what you can do in Elixir, which this looks just sort of like building out. Okay, this is about Elixir program, but it's HTML. Yeah, I mean, I do that in Clojure. I think it's Hiccup. No, yes, Hiccup. This one kind of looks. This one kind of looks cool though. I have some issues with how it's formatted in Clojure, like with the keyword arguments and stuff, but I don't know, that might just be me. Alright, here we go. Abstract syntax tree. Yeah, this is kind of a bit more interesting, so I'll go read over some of this. To master metaprogramming, you first have to understand how Elixir code is represented internally by the abstract syntax tree. Most languages you've worked with have an AST, but you're typically not aware of it. When programs are compiled or interpreted, their source is transformed into a tree structure before being turned into bytecode or machine code. This process is usually masked away, and you never need to think about it. I mean, that is true. Let me see if I can pull up in. Can I fucking spell? Yeah. Okay, yeah, so... And this is actually how I ended up getting interested in Lisp languages, was looking at the like abstract syntax tree and the fact that in Lisp it's quite literally just set out in order for the most part. But, yeah. I always... Oh, is that an Emacs screenshot? Oh no, that's VS Code. I don't know why I thought it was Emacs. I haven't used VS Code in forever. Alright, let's see. Alright, here we go. When your programs are compiled or interpreted, their source is transformed into a tree structure before being turned into bytecode or machine code. This process is usually masked away, and you never need to think about it. This is some about the creation of Elixir. You interact with Elixir's AST at every step of the metaprogramming process. So let's jump into that and find out what it's all about. Metaprogramming in Elixir revolves around manipulating and inspecting ASTs. You can access AST representation of any Elixir expression by using the quote macro. Code generation relies heavily on quote, and we'll be using it throughout the book to carry out our exercises. And let's use it to return the AST representation of a couple basic expressions. Alright. I did mess around with the EIX, some in Emacs. I wasn't able to get it to work too well, so I'm going to do that in the terminal. I don't know what it was, what was going on with it, but the amount of lag, I guess. I don't. It was very slow. It always crashed my Emacs. So I'll have to look into that later. But oh, that's pretty cool, actually. Okay, yeah, I like that. Context elixir imports 1.1. So does do just like, I guess, how you start a method in elixir? Do, okay. Alright, oh, nice. It has the line wrap enabled by default. That's something I appreciate. I mean, I don't do a lot of just raw terminal, like, REPL work with, like, SBCL or even Guile. A bit more with Guile, since this is, or since I am on Geeks, like, you can just sort of, like, just run through some procedures, like, in the terminal with Guile, but even with that, like, the Geeks REPL is a bit more reliable. We can see that the AST representation of 1 plus 2 in div produce simple data structures in Elixir's own terms. Let that sink in for a moment. Okay, yeah, we'll let it sink in. Singing. It's sinking. Alright, yeah, I guess it's sunk. Quoting expressions gives you something you've probably never seen from a language. The ability to peer into the eternal representation of your code within a data structure you already know and understand. This lets you infer the meaning, optimize performance, or extend functionality while staying within Elixir's high-level syntax. That's kind of a very epic statement. Very, very poetic, I guess. Alright. With full AST access, we can perform neat tricks during compilation. For example, the logger module in Elixir standard library can optimize logging by completely removing the expression from the AST. Let's say we're writing to a file and would like to print the file path in development, but ignore the expression in production. We might write something like the following. Dev, so define write path contents, do logger.debug, writing contents to the file path, file write, and in production the logger debug expression would be completely removed from the program. Okay. So it has like inline debugging, that's pretty cool. This syntax is interesting to me. Def write path contents do end. Let's see. Okay, macros. Here we go. Macros are code that writes code. So, yeah, their purpose in life is to interact with the AST using Elixir's high-level syntax. This is how logger.debug can perform its optimization tricks while appearing normal in Elixir code. Macros are used for everything from building Elixir's standard library to serving as core infrastructure of a web framework. In either case, same program or metaprogramming rules apply. Skip. I'm gonna skip most of this. You might think you've largely avoided macros until now, but they've been hiding in plain sight all along. Consider the simple block of code. Def module notify do ping. We're looking right at 4 macros. Can I actually just straight run this code? Elixir runs really slow in Emacs for me. I wonder why that is. Logger debug. And then send PID, comma P. And then how do we run this, I guess? It would help if I could spell. You must require a logger before invoking a macro. That's pretty nice error reporting, actually. How do we require? So it does build. Okay. Okay, that's nice. Let's see. Consider this block of code. Looking at 4 macros. Internally, def module, def, if, and even logger.debug are implemented as macros, like most of Elixir's top-level constructs. You can see for yourself by looking up the documentation in EIX. Or IEX. Oh, okay. That's pretty nice. Def macro. If condition. One-liner examples. If foo do bar. That is pretty nice, just built-in support for documentation. Good documentation always gets me. I don't know, best thing in the world. Top-level constructs, you can see you're by yourself, or for yourself by looking it up, if you might be wondering what the advantage is of Elixir using macros for its own constructs, since you get by fine in most languages without this structure. I mean, sort of, I guess. I don't know. Yeah. I think my introduction to macros was like the concept of macros in C, and that was just more traumatizing than anything. Especially doing like Wayland work. Ended up kind of being a nightmare, like with the way some of the macros were defined. But yeah, I don't know. I haven't done any programming in C in quite some time. Do I even have any C code on this machine? None of these look like they would be C. Oh wait, the little bug, is that one C code? Yeah. Oh, this takes me back. Okay. Yeah. That was C code because I was working with Wayland roots at the time. That being said, I really, I don't think whenever I finally do start working again on window management, I think I'm going to go the Smithy route. Currently trying to learn Rust so that I actually can go this route, but seems to have a bit more built-in NVIDIA support as a compositor than Wayland Roots does, which I don't run NVIDIA on my machine, but I would like to create a window manager with like the support for it. But that's sort of a bit further down the line. I have 2 other projects I'm working on currently before I can actually hop into this. Not to mention the Cosmic Desktop. I tested it out on my Nix machine. It's pretty nice. I don't even think it's on Geeks though. Let's see. Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't seem to be on here. That is the one issue I think with like the Geeks OS versus something like a Nix or something like that. I like it more than Nix, kind of like at a higher level, but there are a lot of gaps missing. This Qtile is this like version of Qtile is one I had to package myself because the one in the repositories several generations old. It's from before Qtile had Wayland support, and so this one was kind of hacked together. Let me see if I can go to the file. All right, packages. Definitely a work in progress still, but it was quite. Yeah, this was quite the endeavor. I think it took me probably a full day to get all of the dependencies figured out and then get the tests to work, like actually work. That being said, still missing some significant modules from it. Not so significant that it can't run, I guess, but there's a couple things that, since Geeks is source-based, and they are binary, like redistributables, currently. So I think it's Flake 8, is it? Yeah, Flake 8 is what I'm looking for on here. But yeah, it, and then this is an attempt to build, or push like updates for the River window manager as well, but currently on the back burner because I do not feel like going through and updating the Zig version, and that has to be updated first. Alright, let's go back to chapter 1 Elixir. Alright. Tying it all together, Qtile Elixir itself is built with macros and how they use quote to return the AST representation of any expression. Now let's fit it all the pieces together. The most important takeaway is that macros receive ASTs as arguments and provide ASTs as return values. By writing macros, you're building ASTs using Elixir's high-level syntax. Yeah, this is similar, I guess, to how it works in Lisp. Do I have... I think it's similar, kind of looking at it, the quoting and everything. Like, this is how I've been doing it with Lisp. I haven't worked with macros as much as I'd like to. Mostly because I feel like, I don't know, the moment my code gets full of macros, it can be a bit more difficult, but I think they're pretty cool. For if anyone sees this who isn't, like, aware of, like, how Lisp language works, really, what we have is a sort of, like, literal injection of this into the code. So this is set bar color, and it takes an argument of color lm, and yeah, the first thing we do is we do a back quote, which means that nothing in here gets evaluated as code. Yeah, or this back quote, I guess the best way to describe it is like set it from code, or like, I don't, like code mode to data mode. I think of it as like a little light switch. So we do that to get the prog in. I hope I'm explaining this right. Probably am. I don't know. But then we also, I forget what this character is called. Comma? I'm just going to call it a comma. Yeah, we comma the loop macro because we do want this to be evaluated. And we are looping for space, or an A-list of space and color in the provided color element. And we collect those in a function, set bar color fun space and color. And again, we use the back quote here. And let me see if I can find. Yeah, so it ends up kind of looking like this in the code itself. Set bar color, and we take this little A-list here. So really all this one is doing is taking the, I guess to explain the program itself, what this program does is it's taking a Lisp-based configuration and parsing it into into a JSON string that's passed to the standard output, and that's read by the sway, or by the sway window manager's like bar. What's it? Way bar? Sway bar? Yeah, it's the sway bar protocol, I believe. Yeah. So this takes a like JSON as its input. Looks somewhat like this, and you have all of these settings, and this is a method of more or less configuring the bar for the sway window manager, similar to like i3 bar. However, writing an infinite like process of JSON is kind of annoying. I imagine like for someone who doesn't use Lisp, this would be annoying as well. And then this main loop is kind of just my proof of concept for it. But yeah, this the bar color and workspace color are done via they are done via this, or these two macros up here, which basically take, which essentially take the color, or like collect the space and then the color, and then pipes them into this function right here, which I guess you could say is a little bit hacked together, because it's just working with sway message. Yeah, it's just kind of working with sway message to set the default like elements for like the color and this, or the space and words. I got 4 hours of sleep. Okay, words, but yeah, sway message bar 0 color space color. Something. Let me add that as a to-do right now. I'm gonna put that there for now. I believe that's not really even necessary, if I'm being honest. That being said, I haven't messed with the sway protocol, or sway bar protocols, in a couple months. I got kind of sidetracked in the process of working on this. I am returning to it though once I finish the closure project that I'm working on. But yeah, these are macros, so they aren't functions. They are kind of like a superset of the code. Other macros and Lisp itself are things like loop is a macro, format is a macro. Format is my favorite macro, my favorite piece of Lisp code in general. I don't know. I don't know if it's weird to have favorites, but I love format. I found out the other day Rust has format macro as well that behaves somewhat similar to my knowledge, and yeah, I kind of love it. But yeah, what this does is it takes uses these macros to set the color of the workspaces and set the color of the bars since those are controlled separately. And then here's actually just a class for the sway block. Sets the default arguments, but for actually making the block, where can I find define blocks, make block, and then this is kind of the custom-made block. So on the end user side, this is well because these are used. These were used like in this block, so like an end user could do something like this setup right here, and define some functions, and then those functions can be piped into the update parameter of sway bar, which it doesn't have a parameter. Okay, yeah. Okay. My mistake. Misspoke on that. The update parameter notifies how this full text section is updated. So this starts out, let's take the get volume for example. Get volume is a function that I created here that essentially all it does is, since I'm using Pipewire on my end, it gets the volume from Pipewire and puts it into a string. It chooses the default audio sync. So that appears as the text, and if I were on Sway, it would appear like right here on the top bar, like over by volume. And then for updating it, it takes a lambda function, which just reiterates the get volume so that it can actually be updated. And yeah, I don't know, it's pretty fun. And then the main just sort of is getting all of that set. This part will be kind of inputted automatically. At some point, but anyway, I am going completely on kind of a bit of a tangent. We were supposed to do elixir. Alright. To see this in action, let's write a macro that can print the spoken form of an elixir mathematical expression such as 5 plus 2. When calculating a result, in most languages, we would have to parse a string expression into something digestible by our program. I mean, yeah. When calculating a result. Let's see. Let me see if I understand what this is saying. To see this in action, let's write a macro that can print the spoken form of an elixir mathematical expression when calculating a result. With Elixir, we can access the representation of the expression directly with macros. I'm just going to go ahead and jump back into it. We'll just go back into it. Yeah, so we do have the right here how the abstract syntax tree is comes out. So yeah, we're first taking that plus, or like we're first taking that plus and applying it to the 5 and the 2, which I guess are imported from kernel, if I'm reading that correctly. And then, not to go back on about Lisp, but let's go back on about Lisp. That's something I do appreciate about Lisp is the AST is quite literally kind of written out as it's evaluated by the code for the most part. So let's see. I think what it's saying here is yeah, I guess what it's saying here is talking about like taking like a string number. So like we couldn't do something like, because we'll get an error. I guess that's what it's stating here as well. Which I believe in Lisp we could just do I remember it in Scheme. But not Common Lisp as much. Let's see what happens if we just do number and then we'll just search Scheme REPL actually. Yeah, so kind of the representation of that syntax tree and a Lisp is, I don't know if this will work, yeah. So this kind of points it out very concisely because what we're doing is, to tree it off, is first we are taking the function plus, which is, well, it's a function, hence the beginning with the parentheses right here, which kind of denotes either a list or a function, which a list itself is a function. That's why lists have to begin with the word list, unless you're quoting it. So we're taking this, and we are applying it to two values. The first value is a 1, and the second value is the function string number, which does as it says it does. There is a Common Lisp variant. I can't remember it off the top of my head, and I don't feel like searching for it again. We are applying it to basically this, which, to kind of like show it all out, what we're first doing is taking the 1, or yeah, plus 1, and then plus the output of string to number, which diving kind of another subsection in here, we have what this does quite literally. Not geyser doc. Yeah, here we go. Here it shows it in the documentation. Returns a number of the maximally precise presentation expressed by the given string. So yeah, I mean, it literally just returns a number from the string. Yeah, and we are applying this, so this itself will output a 5, and this 5 will then have the plus applied to it alongside the 1. So I think what we are essentially doing is like another way that you could do this is map. I don't know how you actually, I don't know the syntax for this in Guile Steam. Let's see if we can figure out the apply documentation. Source. Okay, so you don't quote it. Okay, yeah, that was on me. Why do you use map up there as well? I meant to use apply. Yeah. So that's a bit more of a verbose way of typing it, but it sort of shows it, I think, a bit more expressively, or is a bit more expressive in terms of showing what we're doing. Yeah, that was... Alright, I swear that was the last, like, Lisp detour. Alright, quote do. So we have... quote do. And yeah, that shows it as well. So yeah, we are first calling the plus, and this plus symbol is applied to the, or the symbol is applied to what is contained in here. Which in here we have the multiplication symbol being applied to 1 and 2, and then after that we exit out of this section, and we are applying the plus to the 3. So yeah, let's see. For the AST for 5 plus 2 and 1 times 2 plus 3 produce very straightforward tupla? Tupla? Yeah, tupla. I've never actually pronounced that word out loud, tupla structure. We receive the atoms, and yeah, atoms are just single data pieces that are not a part of a list. Yeah, we receive the atoms, plus and times representing the operators, and the left-hand side and right-hand side values in the last element. Okay, here we go. Here's some actual code. This is fun. How do you comment this out in elixir? Close that out. Alright. So I guess what we're doing first is, yeah, we are defining a module called math. Def macro. That is kind of a wordy macro declaration, I think. Whoa. Okay, that's a bit confusing. Do. Alright, quote do. Do you have to declare quote like that? Just. Alright, I guess equals. Oh, fuck. IHS. Why the fuck is it going so slow? Alright. I love it, whatever it's called, or whatever the put string is just called puts. It feels cute to me. And I guess that's how you input a variable into a string. It's kind of odd way to put it. I guess I can get behind it though, honestly. Alright. Oh, I see. So this will provide an output similar to this. I don't know what this portion does. Oh, okay, that's... Yeah, I actually don't know. I guess maybe it's like, well, I gotta be honest, I have no clue. Oh well. Maybe it's kind of like a rest, or similar to like the rest argument. I genuinely, I don't have a fucking clue what the purpose of that is. This is the first little bit of elixir I've ever actually banged out. Ever. So I am going in completely blind to it. I do kind of like the language though. I might play around with it some, or at least read the documentation, and then see if I want to play around with it still. And I am always interested in looking into or other, like, looking into functional paradigms that aren't Lisp based. And I guess there is Haskell. I could never get Haskell to behave properly for whatever reason, or at least GHC. and I don't want to like have to, anytime I want to use it, like create like a shell, or create like a geek shell, or like a Nix flake or something. But I don't know. I guess if I wanted to bad enough, I don't know what to even use Haskell for. I don't even know what to fucking use Elixir for. Maybe I'll just like mess with Haskell. Do this again and mess with Haskell. I don't know. I think it'd be fun. And we are just result end. And okay, we are in the right trajectory. Alright, C EXS, so math.say and oh, I forgot to require math. Five plus 2 is 7. And I'm guessing the 7 here is just the return, or the actual return value of the macro if we apply it. Okay, here we go. Maybe this will go over some of the actual setup for like how this is formatted. Let's actually see what we can find here. Macros. Even though Elixir attempts its best to provide a safe environment for macros, most of the responsibility of writing clean code with macros falls on the... Okay, first macro, cause, do, expression, do. Can we find... this doesn't seem to actually... Okay. Huh. Okay, that's weird. Let's see. Macro expand once. Expression environment. getting kind of in the weeds with this. Alright. Let's break down the code. Since we know macros receive the AST representation of the arguments we can pass to them, we pattern match directly on the AST to determine which say definition to invoke. Okay, let's break that down a little bit. Since we know macros receive the AST representation of the arguments we pass to them, we pattern match directly on the AST to determine which say definition. Okay, so this is sort of a this is like a conditional expression. Okay, I think this might... Okay, so case multiplication, or case like addition or multiplication. Still don't know what this means, but then do. I actually don't know. I don't know what this means. We're getting there. We'll get there. Alright, let's break down the code. On lines 4 and 15, we can see that macros, like functions, have multiple signatures. Having the example representation from our quoted result allowed us to easily bind the left and right hand side values to variables and print the message accordingly. To complete the macro, we use quote to return an AST for the caller to replace our math.say invocations. Here we also used unquote for the first time. We'll expand on unquote and unquote, or unquote and unquote in detail in a moment. For now, all you need to know is these two macros work together to help you build ASTs while keeping track of what your code executes. With the essential concepts out the way, blah, 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 and then, I guess honestly, we'll dig deeper next time. I do want to close out on doing something else with. And we'll close this, and we will reopen. And let us go ahead and, yeah, we're on page 22, or is this, yeah, 22 macro rules. I will just go ahead and move this over to right here. And just because it's been a while since I've actually messed with a macro. So yeah, we would have sign val1 and we wouldn't want to loop. I think, honestly, well, we have to say it, so. And we'll apply this format T. for this we'll actually do a, the code editor. Oh, I am using Emacs, multiple windows in Emacs, but yeah, it doesn't look this good as its default. I should also note, but I've been using it for several months now. I want to say I was a hardcore Vim user before this, so this is definitely new. Okay. But yeah, VS Code nerd. I always kind of I used VS Code whenever I was on Windows primarily still, to some degree, but I get distracted really easily, and VS Code was not good for limiting my distraction. I don't know. Also, modal editing, I think, like I'm using Emacs, but I'm using it in like the evil mode or whatever it's called, of course, which lets you, basically provides Vim key bindings, which that I don't care as much about anymore. Eclipse. Oh, is that a code editor? I'm not familiar with Eclipse. What is... It sounds familiar, but not familiar. Oh, Java. Okay. Do you do Java or auto work with Java? I've never actually programmed in Java. I think my programming is limited to like obvious programming right now. Love Java. I haven't heard many people say they love Java. It seems to be a very polarizing language. I do. My sort of work with Java has been just through the lens of Clojure, or like work with Clojure. Before that, almost all of my programming for a solid like 2 years was just done in C. And now I don't know. Java always looked interesting to me. It looks very verbose, but that can be a good thing, I think, because then you're able to kind of know exactly what you're doing. And then almost forgot the parentheses there, and we will take the value of we'll take val1, val2, and the result will be I probably messed up quoting along the lines somewhere here. And then our else will we will just copy that and we'll replace this. This language is right now Common Lisp, and I was doing some stuff in Elixir, as shown kind of right here, but I want to kind of see it out for myself, the difference between defining a macro like this for... We might want to prog in this, actually. Yeah, this is Common Lisp. I got into it because of Emacs, or Lisp. Well, no, that's kind of not Praga. That's kind of incorrect. I got into it because of there's a browser called Next, Linux distro. Oh, okay, here. I am on Geeks. Yeah. Which is also defined kind of or its configuration is defined in Guile scheme. If you're familiar with NixOS, it's sort of like the GNU version of NixOS. It's got some hiccups in it for that reason, like especially with firmware and stuff, but I just sort of worked around that by using their like an unofficial channel that allows you to put in like unfree firmware. Yeah, I like it a lot. I love it. I can't really imagine switching to anything else. At this point, I do have an Arch partition on another drive solely for games. Not even just games, like I run games on this, but like for modding games, or applying mods, because Geeks is an immutable distro, and immutable distros, it can be a little bit more difficult to like fuck around with like the games like files and stuff, because they are sort of declared differently. Like everything in this, if we look at the root, so we have like a general like normal root here, but you know, if you look, we have GNU, and then we have Nix, which is because I have the Nix package manager. If we actually look in bin, there's only sh. Use Arch. Is it better or not? It really depends. I would say if you're looking into a immutable distribution, honestly, I would probably recommend NixOS over Geeks, simply because kind of like two fronts with like GNU Geeks. One is it by default only allows like free software, like entirely free, as in open source, no binary like redistributable code, and the kernel it uses is the Linux Libre kernel. So there are a lot of incompatibilities with different like drivers, different pieces of hardware, things like that. That being said, this, or it's non-Geeks, not non-GNU. This repository exists, which allows you to kind of work around that. It has code to install like the actual like standard Linux kernel. It's a lot. How long did it take me to install this? Honestly, I mean, not too long, if I'm being honest. I think I've only messed around with a grand total of maybe 4 distros. My first distro that I ever was on was Arch Linux. I stayed on that for not too long, and then I did NixOS, which was probably the most difficult one to install. And then Geeks, like after doing like Nix, Geeks wasn't that long. The only issue I had with it was during the install process there was an error. I happened to try and install on the day that like the package channels were down, and so I couldn't actually connect for installation. That was really the only hiccup with Geeks, but I can show sort of what it looks like. So packages are declared in the configuration rather than rather than just downloading. You can just download, but this is kind of the main way to do it. So like, let's take a look at home, for example. So what we're doing here is declaring the home environment of the system. Oh, 4 hours? Yeah, Arch was kind of difficult for me at first. The actual installation process I didn't have too much trouble with. The part I had trouble with was connecting to the internet, because at the time I had a laptop, and I ended up finding an Ethernet cable just in an old box after searching, but essentially I had connected the Wi-Fi in the ISO, but I had forgotten to enable Network Manager, like configure, or like I forgot to install Network Manager. It was my first Linux distribution, so I didn't know that like something like WPA supplicant was already built into it or anything like that. I ended up finally getting Network Manager installed by booting back into the ISO, and from there I installed and enabled Network Manager, but then I had the issue of my password for my Wi-Fi has it begins with an exclamation point, and whenever I was trying to run Network Manager whenever I was trying to run nmcli, it was interpreting the exclamation as like part of like a bash shebang. Oh, yeah, I'll probably be off by then. I got a little sidetracked, but yeah, enjoy class. Yeah, I just wanted to get this macro. Where were we? This is really kind of just a function at this point. Too many arguments to format. Uses at most 3. Yeah, I don't know why I got that warning. Math 4. I don't know what Math 4 is, actually. What are the other maths? Is that like calculus, or... the value... Oh. Oops. There we go. Oh, yeah, I have to... Yeah, so I guess sort of a very roundabout way of doing this. Roundabout's probably not the right word. Sort of a way. This is a way of doing this. And I guess you would say, yeah, like in Common Lisp. I think what's interesting here is here we have the two separate say macros, which we could have oh, I'm not returning the value like I wanted to. Wait, where are we? Okay. If we redefine it like that, can we actually get that return value? Yeah. Okay, there. Now we have a roundabout way. That roundabout's the wrong word again. Yeah. I don't know. Kind of looking at these two, it's hard to, and probably because I didn't write like an exact version, but I do appreciate the kind of inline declaration of the variables for this macro, which I guess you could do with let statements on here. If I wrote a one-to-one, it would probably look a bit more like def macro say, and then if equal sign plus let value, or like let LHS equal unquote LHS, and then similarly we would do the same thing for the other one, like right hand side. Oh, that's what that I didn't know what the LHS stood for. Okay, yeah. We would just use let statements, and I mean, we could do a let for the result as well, and then just return it like that. So it would probably, I'm not going to write a whole macro, but it would probably look something like and then we will do So yeah, we would probably declare them like that first, and then we would just do the format T, and then let that be symbolic of something, I don't know, and then yeah. Yeah, something like that. But, yeah. That was an hour and a half of me kind of rambling through this. I don't know. Might return to it. We're at language of macros. How much of the... Oh, we already finished World is Your Plague. I love the chapter titles. Kind of a short book now that I'm looking at it. Already a fifth of the way through. No, not a fifth, a sixth. I can't do math. Yeah, anyway, that is that. I do hope that everyone has a good rest of your day. I'm going to, I don't know, probably take a nap because I got 4 hours of sleep, so bye.